folks, John here with Through My Lens, and today I'm coming to you with another knife-related video. Today we're going to be looking at this Hinderer XM-18 3.5-inch Skinny Slicer. And I am absolutely thrilled to be able to do this review because I have been wanting to get a Skinny Slicer for quite some time, really immediately after I got this knife. This is also a skinny model, a Hinderer XM-18 3.5-inch. This is a sheep's foot, and I have previously reviewed this on the channel. If you go back a few videos, I did review this knife earlier this year, so take a look at that video because I probably will go into more detail in that video than I will this one. But once I did get the skinny sheep's foot, I really became a believer in the Hinderer Skinny series. So I've talked about also in some of my earlier videos that I was introduced to Hinderer knives back in 2012, and back then there wasn't as much variation in Hinderer's offerings as there is today. That and the fact that they were much harder to come by at that time as well. But at that time, I can recall there being just XM-18s in 3, 3.5, and XM-24s in the larger size. Certainly the Spanto grind has always been around. I remember the slicer grind having recently come out in the 2012 timeframe. I remember that being a fairly new grind that he was offering, but you just didn't see much else. Now you have lots of different grinds. You've got the Harpoon Spantos, you've got Bowies, all kinds of different grind variations, and there are different variations in the sizes of the knife themselves within the 3 and 3.5-inch XM-18s as well as the XM-24. You have the regular, I guess, adjectiveless, XM-18s that we've always had, but now there are fatty models that are fatter and stouter, and you have these skinny models that are more slender and a little bit lighter weight. And once I found the joys of carrying this knife, particularly for someone like myself who Monday through Friday is in an office environment, I'm not going to clip a knife to my work slacks, my dress slacks. It's going to be carried inside my pocket. And the regular sized XM-18, as much as I love this knife and I think it's fantastic, this really works more as a weekend knife for me because it's just a little too chunky and a little too heavy to carry inside the pocket. I can do it, I just don't like to do it. But let me kind of demonstrate some differences here, from a weight standpoint, because that's such an important consideration for those of us, in an office environment. Got my handy dandy scale here, zero it out. The standard XM-18, this is just a regular spear point XM-18, comes in at just shy of 5.5 ounces, 5.47. Now, interestingly enough, the knife that I used for a long time once I sold my Hinderer XM-18s is the ZT-0562CF. Look at what this one comes in at weight-wise. Identical, 5.47 ounces. It's pretty amazing how close in specs the 0562 is to the XM-18. But again, just a little heavier and a little chunkier than I really wanted my knife to be. But again, I did carry this for a lot of years. I've had, this is one of the original 0562 CFs that I've had. It's always been a knife that I said I would just never sell because it's such a great all-around knife, particularly for someone like myself who's into concealed carry. Now let's take a look at the Skinny Slicer. Just a hair over 4.5 ounces. That is amazing. That's about an ounce lighter, which is significant. It's over 20% lighter. and it just carries so wonderfully because dimensionally speaking, it's also more slender between the scales as well. So it doesn't have a bulge in your pocket. Um, and the weight, a lot of people think that 4 ounce, around 4 ounces is kind of perfect for the weight of a knife to be able to carry in your pocket. And this one's just a hair over that, but it works so much better than either the 0562 CF from Zero Tolerance, or of course the regular XM-18 3.5 inch. That this is, I think, become the new winner in the EDC or everyday carry category. The other thing that makes this knife such a great knife to carry on a daily basis is that it also has a thinner blade stock than the standard XM-18, which is kind of known to be a bit of a quote unquote pry bar. You shouldn't really use any knife to pry with, but the XM-18 with its Spanto tip, the Spanto grind, was kind of designed to be used as a makeshift pry bar if needed for first responders. And it's really chunky, it's really thick, and it's a little bit thick behind the edge. So some, if you're not using it in a self-defense role, if you're not using it in a first responder type role for rescue purposes, it's not the greatest slicer for everyday carry tasks like food prep or just opening things, packages and envelopes and so forth. But the Skinny Slicer is a thinner blade stock than the regular XM-18, and of course it uses the slicer grind, which Rick kind of designed that in response to the criticism over the Spanto not being the best slicer. So he created a slicer grind. Now you've got a knife that is great at everyday cutting tasks, but really doesn't lose anything in terms of what the XM-18 offers from a defensive standpoint. If I had to press this knife into a defensive scenario or a defensive purpose, I would have no problem doing so. The ergonomics are great. It doesn't quite feel the hand like the regular XM-18, but it's more than adequate in that regard. And again, it can be used so much more universally with ease, and it's effortless. I think this may be, and I plan to do kind of a comparison between this and what many consider to be the best EDC knife ever made, the Chris Reeve Sebenza. I got to do a comparison between these two knives because this is just such a great EDC knife, as compared to the regular XM-18. This one is still going to be a great knife for me to carry on the weekends when I'm not carrying it inside the pocket. I'm carrying it clipped to my pocket, and weight isn't such a consideration. But I'm just really thrilled that I've got two of the skinny variations of the XM-18. This one, the Skinny Slicer, you can see I've kept pretty stock. The only thing that I've added here is the new Hinderer date filler tab here for 2020. These were offered about a month or two ago directly from Rick Hinderer, and they disappeared virtually overnight. You can't find these anymore. They're already going for twice what people paid for them. And I've got another one here on my regular XM-18. This one is, of course, an anodized blue one. And this Skinny Slicer then, I kind of blinged out very similarly to this one. I kept the hardware on the scale side the same because I do like when the light catches these scale screws, how they look. I do like that look, but I did add these blue spacers, anodized blue spacers. These aren't battle blue; these are just the regular ones. And again, it kind of matches what this one has. And of course, I added anodized blue pocket clip, and one kind of touch that I did to make this one a little different is, see if I can bring this up, the handle nuts here have the Hinderer logo on them, the horse's head. Wasn't sure how I was going to like this. I actually ordered these on accident because I was trying to order some hardware for my skinny sheep's foot here. But that kind of brings me to one thing that you need to be aware of if perhaps you're newer to Hinderer or you've never ordered some of these variations. The hardware becomes a little bit tricky because it's not universal between these different variations in the XM-18 line. Let me bring this one back in, for illustrative purposes as well. So what I found out is the regular XM-18 scales not compatible with the skinny models. They make a separate line of skinny scales that do work for skinny slicers and skinny sheepfoot models. The pocket clips are universal. Pocket clips and the filler tabs are pretty universal. So are the over-travel stops. I've got some custom ones there. So those parts are universal, but the spacers, the handle screws, and the handle nuts, those are definitely not universal. You can see even between these two skinny models over here, the skinny sheep's foot has different handle nuts and handle screws than does the skinny slicer. You can tell there's actually a Torx insert on the clip side, which you don't see in any other model. You'll notice that that's not present in either of these two models, which is really interesting. So when you're chasing down hardware, if you want to do some different things to your Hinderer knives, and for me that's a big draw to getting a Hinderer is making it my own and customizing it a bit. You'll want to just be cognizant of that. DLT Trading, which is an online vendor, has a fantastic compatibility chart that can really help with some of these things to help you understand what hardware compatibility exists amongst the different models and to help you so you don't end up buying the wrong hardware. So definitely look up DLT Trading. I get a lot of my knives and my hardware from them, and I think they do a really good job. So again, I've had this for a few days. I've been carrying it. I think the flipping action on the skinny models is actually just a little bit better than on the regular models too. I don't have a good explanation as to why that would be, but they just have the most marvelous flipping action, and of course, fall shut. Really nice. We'll do that again. Very, very, very nice. My skinny sheep's foot is also nice and fall shutty, as Nick Chapaz says. Really, really nice. Blade centering, phenomenal. Probably see that now. Yeah, perfectly centered. That was the case as well in my skinny sheep's foot. So you get all of the quality and really most of the robustness. I don't know if the skinny models could handle some of the harder use tasks like a first responder might put on an XM-18, but for my purposes, for an EDC and potentially a defensive knife, I think it works perfectly. So if you haven't checked them out, do try to track down one of the Skinny models. Unfortunately, they are very hard to come by right now, as they are newer models. They're very much in high demand, as people have kind of discovered that carrying one of the Skinny models really makes them a better choice for particularly an office EDC type of environment. You know, they're very, very, very hard to come by. I expect, actually, within the next week or two, I think you're going to see a drop of more Skinny sheepfoot models. And again, they're fantastic. I really love my Skinny sheepfoot. So if you're in the market, you know, be on the lookout. And again, DLT Trading has one of the best selections around for that. And these are such good EDC knives that I think I'm going to be doing something that I thought I would never do. I've had this 0562 for over 8 years. You can see it's one of the original models here. Let me just clean the blade off a little bit real quick. Got a fingerprint on it. It's one of the original M390 models. You can see it's got a very early serial number. This is serial number 70. Which is just fantastic. Come on, focus there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is serial number 70, an M390 model. You know, these are, this is one of the original runs of the ZT-0562 CF, and I just don't need it anymore. I'm not going to be carrying this in the office, and I'm certainly not going to be carrying it on the weekends. Now that I've kind of returned to Hinderer and I have an appreciation for them again, I've actually sold off quite a few of my ZTs this year, and I anticipate I'll be selling that ZT-0562 here very soon. Well, there you have it. There's my review of the Rick Hinderer XM-18 3.5-inch Skinny Slicer. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care. God bless. We'll see you in the next one. I hope you've enjoyed this production from the Through My Lens YouTube channel. If you did, please click on the like button and do share the video on social media. If you'd like to see more content like it, please do subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and do check out Through My Lens at www.throughmylens.org.